The Venom movie felt like Sony has learned or has started to learn from their previous endeavors and from watching Marvel. It seemed like for Venom, they actually went back and watched the original Iron Man and a couple of the other origin based Marvel Cinematic Universe films and actually took some notes and actually incorporated it into this film while pushing the envelope of PG-13 to make it more stand out from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, wow. Hello everyone, I'm Rich Ryan Darcy, and welcome to my spoiler review of Venom, featuring 100% new footage compared to my non-spoiler review. So, if you want more me reviewing Venom, check out my non-spoiler review. I even shot it differently. So, this is kind of a bonus, but I kind of also really wanted to talk about the movie if I wasn't so freaking tired. Yes, about 12 hours ago, I finished watching Venom for the first time in IMAX 3D, and I really enjoyed the film. Partly due to the fact that I went in with such low expectations. Just to give a brief thing, so I've had a positive experience with Venom. I enjoyed the way they did Venom. I enjoyed the setups, the payoffs, what they did with it, even though some of it did seem a little, Marvel Cinematic Universe origin-y. Like, it felt like I was watching, because it was in San Francisco, I actually thought for a second I felt like I was watching Aliens version of Ant-Man. Some parts I was like, oh, this is like an Aliens version of Iron Man. Like, it's like, there was moments where I'm like, oh, this is like a Aliens version of Doctor Strange. Not specifically in copying from those films, but more of some choices and some things made me remind me of those other films. Like, for example, Tom Hardy's voice for his character reminded me of what Benedict Cumberbatch did for the voice of Doctor Strange. And it's a drastically different voice from what the actor has done previously and all that. I found it really funny that it was in San Francisco in the sense that I'm like, oh, Sony really wanted to push itself away from New York because they know if they use New York, that's way too close to Spider-Man and the Avengers. So they knew if it took place in New York, they would have to mention the Avengers. But unfortunately, they chose San Francisco, which, because of the new Ant-Man Wasp movie and the original Ant-Man movie, I am still questioning where this takes place in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So I think the cast did a great job considering what the script is and all that. And the script wasn't that bad because it was Marvel Cinematic Universe version almost of Aliens. Like, especially how they shot certain scenes and all that, and the way they even edited. Like, there was, probably the most advanced version of a Marvel Cinematic Universe jump scares. Like, it's not like bad jump scares, but they're actually kind of creative jump scares in the way of it looks. Like, the cinematography in this movie was better than it should have been. Like, most of the things in this movie I found was better than what I was under the impression it was going to be, and also better than it should have been. Like, because if Sony was just trying to push out a movie to make money, I felt like they didn't have to choose a lot of the choices they did. They did, like, for example, the amount of swearing and all that. A studio executive could easily came in and be like, yeah, don't use the word pussy in the scene where Venom called Eddie Brock's character, played by Tom Hardy, a pussy, or like, you know, there's a lot of asses in this movie. Like, not visual asses, but like, you know, asshole, ass, stuff like that. Like, he's got a parasite of his ass, stuff like that, or symbol of his ass. F words. I'd even start to. I want to go back and count, but I remember hearing at least one. But now I don't remember if there was one earlier on, and I just didn't notice it because I was just taken by surprise by everything. Um, like, I'm just generally shocked by this movie, and the theater I was in, even because Friday is technically opening day, Thursday was like a preview night. I saw it on Friday night, so that was basically opening day almost. And the theater was quite crowded. So it did a lot better than the House with the Clock in the Walls. From what I can tell, like box office wise, it's Venom is gonna do a lot better than what everyone thinks is gonna do. So I really hope Venom does do well because I really want to see a sequel, and it's partly due to that end credit scene, which it wasn't who they set up that was surprising. Like, it was a bit of a surprise who they brought in, which is it's gonna be Carnage. It looks like. I didn't clue in it was gonna be Carnage because I didn't. The only thing I know Carnage from was believe it or not, the old Spider-Man Sega game called, I think it's Maximum Carnage. But the funny thing is, every time I play that game, I can't get past like the opening level where you have to like climb a building, but there's like a little electricity thing that shoots down. I have not been able to get past that level since I was a kid. And so I just know Maximum Carnage. I guess Maximum Carnage, like Carnage, is the that's how I know it's the mega villain for Spider-Man Venom, and that's because of that game. But I've never seen him in action. I don't know his name and all that. So when it was revealed to me in the post-credit scene, I was like, who's that? But a part of me was not even thinking of that because I was terribly surprised by who they casted as Carnage. And that is Woody Harrelson. I am still shocked they got Woody Harrelson in the Marvel Cinematic Universe now as Carnage. I'm sold. Sony, make the Venom 2 so I can go see it. The funny thing is about the cameo is that if this is how much I know comics and stuff, if Woody Harrelson did not say, when I get out, there's going to be some carnage. If he didn't say that on the nose line, I wouldn't have known that was Carnage. I would have been like, who's that? So I'm actually kind of glad he did say that. I mean, it's the end credit scene line. Like, you know, it's got to tease, it's got to build up. And you know what? I'm sold. You know, Venom 2 and 3, I'm sold, okay? Just make it good, Sony. Make it good. I want to see that in action. But the thing is, if you are going to do Maximum Carnage, I think you might have to go rated R. But then again, they did so much with the PG-13. I think they can maybe cross the line and do PG-13 again. Because in this movie, several henchmen and several innocent people die throughout this film. And whether if it's implied or on screen, you got Venom biting the head off of was it a security guard? A security guard for the evil corporation. Spoilers. I did say this was going to be a spoiler review, didn't I? And it's on screen. It does happen fast, but still, I just saw someone's head get eaten. And then you got so many little gross, funny moments with Tom Hardy going insane, Eddie Brock going insane from Venom. like him going through the trash, eating whatever's left over food wise, like, and then puking it out, like, like at one point he's eating live lobsters, like. I was like, wow, give me something new in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We got people going crazy and eating lobsters. You got people getting stabbed and all that. Like, maybe in the second one they might pump it up. Maybe they will do rated R. Maybe they'll realize, hey, there's no chance Venom's going to be incorporated with the Marvel Cinematic Universe totally. Like, he'll never be with the Avengers or fighting against the Avengers or stuff like that. So let's just, keep it down, keep it simple, keep it in studio, and maybe we'll do the sequels rated R. I don't know. I mean, you got an Eminem song, so Eminem is usually rated R, you know. Actually, he's unrated, actually, if I'm being honest. Eminem song I thought was good. That was my first time hearing it, or a section of it for the end credits. End credits looked amazing. Love the design of that, especially in 3D. Yeah, there's a lot of things I like this movie. Things that surprised me as well is editing and camera cinematography. Like, for example, the opening montage, the news montage, like, it looked really good. And it was like, oh, wow, they actually, A, put in effort, B, had fun with the editing a bit. Like, I was like, wow, that was pleasant to the eyes, cool. Music overall was good enough. Like, there was nothing terrible about it, but nothing really stand out music-wise, score-wise. And, yeah, so... Woody Harrelson as Carnage. Oh man, holy crap! I'm still back off of that. Like, wow. And then the very, very end credit scene was a clip from the upcoming Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie, which that was also surprising as an end clip. And I was excited for that movie when they. Not when they announced it, but when the first like teaser trailer or trailer dropped, and I realized what they were gonna do with it, I'm like, that's gonna be a fun crossover movie. I love crossover movies, so as many crossovers as possible, I love it. So that I'm definitely gonna try and go see in theaters as soon as it comes out, because that looks good. Yeah, I'm just surprised. I'm like, the clip they showed for it is not, like, I thought it was a very interesting choice of clip to get people to go see the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie. Especially the fact that I'm like, after the Venom movie I just witnessed, you're actually gonna show that clip? Oh, okay. Because I'm firmly believe the Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse movie is more, I don't know if it's kid oriented. Oh yeah, it's probably more kid oriented. The jokes that were in it and all that was like family oriented, funny and stuff like that, while being a little bit serious as well. Like, I'm excited for that movie. But anyways, on the words of Venom, the cinematography and editing was there was moments like, for example, when Eddie Brock's being chased away from the facility in the forest. You got all of a sudden, all the guards are on him, chasing him, guards and security, and he's running, and there's like a bit of a lens flare, which I thought was cool. Like, it visually looked cool. They didn't really need to do that, but they decided to do it anyways. But then the lens flare, when it got a little bit brighter, cut to a vehicle with the headlights going into frame, and it was such a subtle, almost match cut of the light that it, like, I was like, whoa, they actually, man, props to the editor. I'm not gonna lie, I'm yeah, really, really good job. And then, like, the whole, when he's in the facility and Eddie Brock is in the facility taking pictures of the stuff that they had, and it happened. It literally, it almost went horror film, like literally, like with the jump scare that was there. I mean, it wasn't like a total. I didn't myself jump out of the thing, but it, like, I'm like, wow, it came right. Basically, he saw someone who was on the streets that he knows, who lives on the streets, was being tested on with the alien symbiotic stuff, and so he tried to break open the thing. He break it open, and then all of a sudden she jumps at him, like shot so well with the lighting and all that. That whole scene, like the fog, like it's such a coolly shot scene. Like all the action scenes in this movie, like most of this movie, was done better than what they could have done. Like they could have done very bare minimum with the action scenes. They didn't have to go this far out with some of them, and I think it pays off. But once again, at the same time, I'm like, why is Venom getting so many bad reviews? Like, it's actually a little bit puzzling me. Like, I felt like this movie would be more like Justice League, where it's like more half and half, or Star Wars The Last Jedi, where it's more half and half. It seems to me it's lower than what it is. But then again, that's, I think, more critically score. I don't know what the audience score is like. I'm just under the impression from the critic score that the audience score is going to be low. So I'm curious to look that up after I finish editing and posting these reviews. Let's talk about the glue that holds Venom in place, the action scenes. And that is the stuff in between, the talking, the characters, the story. And for the most part, I kind of liked the story. Even though it just felt, like a typical origin story, I did like what I did. The setup, I felt like the parts that I felt weren't done well. Like, for example, you got the opening scene with the spaceship crashing, and then them investigating crashing, and then one of the symbiotics escape. That was well done. It felt like it was just a little bit horror film. It sort of reminded me of stuff like the older day Earth Stood Still a little bit, or Invasion of Body Snatchers, stuff like that. And once again, I'm surprised, like, just watching the way they set up, like, the crash scene and all that, the big overhead shot with all the extras going around, like, that looks cool, that was done well and all that. But then when we get to Eddie Brock, you get the news montage and all that, which I thought was cool. But the thing that sort of bothered me movie-wise, like, is that sort of just got introduced to this character, and then all of a sudden, he decides to do something bad journalism-wise, like morally bad, and it costs his job and his girlfriend's job and all that, and it's like the downward spiral, because Venom, like, once that all happened and it was really brisk moving along, because I think that's the first 15 minutes of the movie, all that happens, and well, actually, first 15 minutes of the movie after the opening intro scene, where just before the Venom credits appear. So the 15 minutes in, this all happens, this supposed downward spiral, and to me the downward spiral did not feel that emotional, because I mean, I just got introduced to this character, but now he's supposed to lose everything. I didn't really even know what he had to begin with. Like, I know he had all I got prior to him losing everything is he had a girlfriend and he had a job at news. But yet, because of what he did, he loses his girlfriend, loses his, what's it called? his job. And so it's like, okay, you can get back up on your feet, but then, maybe because of what he did and who he sort of pissed off, they are preventing him from getting any other jobs in the industry and all that, so he's basically almost blacklisted from news. So it's a bit of a downward spiral, but it didn't feel emotionally downward spiral. Like, it didn't feel that much of a downward spiral just from the way how brisk it happens and all that. So that's really my complaint about the film. Kind of complaint of the film is that we didn't really know this character enough to have this downward spiral, so that when he does get the Venom stuff, it's like, because, like, for example, in Spider-Man 3, I can't believe I'm actually bringing this up as an example. You do see a bit of this downward spiral because we get introduced to Eddie Brock early on, and it's not until near the end of the movie that he gets the Venom fluid attached to him after he loses everything because of Peter Parker. So you can see there's a rivalry, there's a reason, and all that. Spoilers to Spider-Man 3. I'm sure if you're seeing this review, I'm sure you've seen and are aware of Spider-Man 3. Yeah, so this movie, because they're using it as the jumping off point for the movie, so we can get more Venom and more other things, it does feel not rushed, but it just feels it is moving quite fast. But at the same time, it's kind of nice that it's moving fast, so that way we can get to the awesome Venom scenes and other story bits and humor and craziness and all that. Yeah. If I had a list of the top 10 best movies I've seen this year for the first time, that was released this year, there's a good chance Venom would make this list. And I have to go watch them. Another thing I felt was a little bit bad, like, for me, movie-wise, like, what was the worst aspects of it. And, it's not really bad, but it was done just, decent enough. But, like, they didn't really need to do that, is sort of the, no, well, I don't want to say they didn't need to do that. I liked what they did with it, because at first you thought it was a stereotypical, after the 6-month gap, it's revealed that his ex-girlfriend is now dating someone else. And it's like, oh great, so it's going to be one of those, he's going to have to fight to, win back her love and for her to dump him. And so it's like, did this movie really need it? But they actually use the new boyfriend, because he's a doctor, as part of the thing. And I really like that for some reason, because it's like you're actually using the character. You're not just, he's just there, like in, kind of like Ant-Man, now that I think about it, where like the new boyfriend is like, he's a cop, and they use him as a cop, but he's also kind of just there. I felt like he was in Ant-Man, he was more just sort of there, even though he did help out a little bit, I think. Venom, the whole boyfriend situation, is the doctor. He actually was there, and he was sort of his own character. It wasn't, I don't know, I just found it was a really interesting way of going about it. And then I actually, now that I think about it, I don't know if the relationship, did he go back to her by the end of it, or no? I don't actually know. Wow. So yeah, maybe that's the more forgettable aspect of the movie, the relationship, but like, because it's like, well, by the end of it, I don't know, were they together or not, or maybe because it's been such a length of time and all that, I don't know, or maybe they still have feelings for each other, but it's not really shown. I don't remember the friggin'... I just remember there was a joke, because she's like, oh, sorry about Venom, Venom's dead, and he's like, I'm not dead. Like, he's it's revealed that he's still alive and he's in Eddie Brock, and so it's like I remember that. Like that was the most memorable part of that scene. I just don't remember what their relationship stats by the end of it. But who cares? Probably the weaker part of the film. Yeah, so the movie's not perfect, but for me, it was a good film overall, and I enjoyed Venom. IMAX was fake IMAX, so it was not shot with IMAX cameras. It didn't have that extra ratio like Mission Impossible Fallout or anything like that, or Avengers Infinity War, so it didn't have that whole extra value for IMAX. So really the only good thing about the movie value wise was the 3D. 3D was overall good, and the fight scenes weren't too chaotic in the sense of visuals. It was overall, it looked nice. The action scenes were definitely the best parts of the film, I felt, overall. And like even the big CGI fight scene at the end of the movie looked good. I'm like going into it, I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a big CGI fight, just like Deadpool 2. I was like, okay, how are they gonna handle this? Is it gonna look like shit? Is it gonna look good? Is it gonna actually not be too chaotic? And overall, I liked the end fight scene with them fighting over the space shuttle and all that. Like, it was, they took advantage of it and all that. Yeah, and I felt like they were pretty creative when it came to specific elements of that fight, and it felt like they actually fought through choreography. Like, it wasn't like the moments where it did slow down and it actually looked like it was a painting and stuff like that during the fight. Like, that was cool, and it was a great fight scene, even though it was between two blobs, and inside each blob was a human. Like, like even though it was that, it was still, I felt good. It was entertaining, and it was quite pleasing in 3D and all that, and it wasn't too chaotic, so it wasn't like the Bourne Identity where it's like, shit, you can't. I mean, there was maybe one or two moments where it's like a bit cut and stuff like that, but I thought it was good. I'm quite happy with the end product for Venom. And I really want to see Woody Harrelson as Carnage. Yes. But please make it rated R. If you're going to do that. But if you do it PG-13, push the edge of PG-13 as much as you can. And then I hope with Venom, maybe they'll release a R-rated cut of it. I wonder if they're going to do that. I don't know. That would be cool. If they do that, if they release a different cut of Venom on Blu-ray, that's going to be the first Marvel Cinematic Universe film to have a extended or director's cut to it, or an unrated cut. Like that would be a big deal. I don't know if Sony's going to actually do that. I think they might just leave the film as is, because it just push the PG-13. It's like, oh, I feel a bit like a broken record. But anyways, I wanted to talk cast-wise. So Michelle Williams did a good job. But the one I definitely wanted to point out is Riz Ahmed. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly. Riz, I loved him in Nightcrawler. He's in Nightcrawler, right? Gotta check up my stuff before it. Yes, he was in Nightcrawler. And I loved him in that movie. He did really very good job in that movie. So I'm glad I'm seeing him in more big budget productions and all that. He is a tremendously good actor. Excited to see what he does next. In this movie, he was pretty good as the villain. As a, evil head of corporations go, he was pretty decently memorable. Like, yeah, most of it's like, yeah, we kind of seen this before. Yeah, the villain just throwing his subordinates, or like, the people who work for him under the bus or in the line of fire and all that, and he's like, "Oh, I have my cause. The planet is, overpopulation and all that," and it's like, must do good. Well, actually, shit. That just reminded me, like, where in the Marvel Cinematic Universe does this fit? I mean, oh man, you got hardly any mention of Avengers or Spider-Man or anybody. I don't think they mentioned anybody. Like, it was entirely its own little film, and it's in San Francisco. So now I'm thinking back, I'm like, I'm pretty sure at some point in Ant-Man they showed that hillside next to the Golden Gate Bridge where the headquarters is for this movie, for the Venom and all that. So it's like, that wasn't there in the Ant-Man side of things. So I'm starting to think I think this takes place way after Avengers 4. Now that I think about it, because why would overpopulation be a problem if the events of Avengers 3, Infinity War, happened and stayed like that? So I think this is after the Avengers 4 happens and fixes everything that was done in Avengers Infinity War. That's the only thing I can think of. So this is definitely many years later on, because I mean, the facility that wasn't built, like, I'm analyzing it as if it was real. It's obviously, this is continuity a little bit broken because they decided to take place in San Francisco because that's where Ant-Man takes place. Like, if they chose a place where Ant-Man wasn't, like, there's many other cities they could have had this taken place in, but it's like Hollywood movies. It's like, if it's not New York, it's San Francisco. And if it's not San Francisco, it's going to be Toronto or Vancouver, but we're going to make it look like it's San Francisco or New York. There's more places on Earth you can film. Gosh. Anyways, yeah. So I enjoyed Venom. I'm actually kind of surprised for a brief moment of time they had Michelle Williams be female Venom for a very brief moment. It was surprising, and just there were surprises in this movie. Like, I don't know if that was in the trailer. Like, that would suck. Like, if I might have to look at the trailers, but if one of the reasons why the movie didn't do so well is because of the trailers, I can see that, because, a bad trailer, it doesn't make you excited for the movie, it doesn't make you want to go see the movie, but, like, I remember online some clips people were talking about the trailer and all that, and I remember, the line, which is an ending line of the movie almost, is, you're like a turd in the wind and stuff like that, and keep pointing at that, saying, oh yeah, this is going to be a horrible movie because of that and stuff like that. So it's like, I think the trailers might be the reason. Like, I haven't seen any of the trailers, any other, like, I don't think I actually watched the trailers, and if I did watch the trailers, I was like, once again, I wasn't excited going into Venom. I was like, okay, I'll see it just to see what they do, and because I went in with that mindset, it surprised the hell out of me. And there's moments like this where it's like, all of a sudden the female Venom's there, and you're like, oh, what? And then all of a sudden, Venom is kissing Tom Hardy, and you're like, what the fuck? But then, the reveal and all that of it being Michelle Williams, but it's like, at the same time, it's like, was that Venom who did that, or Michelle Williams' character? Like, either way, you're like, that was the kind of scene where I'm like, oh, there's gonna be lots and lots and lots internet fan art after after that scene. Damn internet, you and your crazy memes. Let me know in the comments below what you thought of Venom. If you're one of the people who liked the film, loved the film, hated the film, despised the film, just let me know. And because I'm curious to see what everyone else thinks. Thank you very much for watching this bonus just watched episode. Yeah, I want you to have a nice day or night or whatever time you watch this. Have a nice whatever. Thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it.